our goal today is really to allow people to just talk about this from an institutional perspective. The goal isn't to sit here and debate whether somebody did right, somebody did wrong as an individual. Because we didn't want this to be about, you know, just purely beat up on Police Day, because police are part of a larger system, and it's not just about, you know, one cop and one kid, but it's bigger than that. And if we're going to talk about this as a movement and not just a moment in time, it's bigger than those two individuals in any one police department. It's what has created the systems and the institutions themselves that create people's lack of trust or fear or whatever it is that's creating the passion that you're seeing now.
And then you had this topic, Ferguson, which is so big. And I thought it was great that the city was kind of walking right into it, you know, knowing that it's hitting a lot of people in different ways, and let's just kind of take it on.
It's not just about Ferguson. This keeps happening. It's not the first time. It's not the first time the past year. Like, it is about the fact that there is a structure in place that allows it to happen and to allow indictments to not happen.
One of the questions I asked was, how many of you have had a conversation about Ferguson in the last couple of weeks? Everybody raised their hand. But then how many of you have had an interracial conversation about Ferguson in the last couple of weeks? And about 15 people out of maybe 70 people in the room raised their hand, and I would say 10 of those were black folks. And so clearly we're not talking to each other. And that's another example of what needs to happen, is we need to be able to talk to each other so we can better understand the impacts being felt by folks who don't look like us, on both sides of the aisle.
I spoke from the perspective of, and I think to, the white audience in the room about our role in stepping up and facing history and being willing to take off our blinders, which we have the luxury to choose to do, but that asking folks that it's really time to lean into spaces that are maybe uncomfortable for us.
And some of the issues with Ferguson is that, yes, there's over 60% black, but the problem is they don't have the power because they haven't been in the institution to gain power in order to change the rules and regulations that are in place.
My commitment is that I would capture this, I will compile it, and I will ensure that it's submitted to and read and heard by each of the city council and by the mayor's office. I just think that's important to know, for them to know the impact that this is having on employees every day.
There was a police officer there, and I was glad to see, I mean, this wasn't mandatory, so it was great to see someone representing law enforcement there.
I want to try and understand. There's a lot of people wearing this uniform that want to make a change, that are trying hard to make a change. We're not Ferguson, and we're not perfect, but we're trying to move in the right direction. And I really appreciate everybody talking and speaking from the heart today. Thank you.
And so I would suggest to begin to have these conversations. The continuing trainings that this office does, I think, creates a baseline of understanding about some of the issues of the day based on history and historical perspectives and historical aspects to institutionalized racism. And do your own work. Do your own work. It's not always up to somebody else to give you the answer. You know, do your own work.